Hi, everybody, hello. So, if anyone out there in my channel is um, dating or whatever, since I noticed that one specific video that has to do with love and not really making love the center of your life, I've noticed that most people that have joined the channel more recently have done so because they watched that video. So this could be very applicable and relevant to a lot of people. Also, because I've also noticed from checking out a lot of different subscribers and what kind of channels they follow, I noticed that a lot of us, of course, are into this similar kind of topics when it comes to relationships and things like that. And potentially when it comes to having healthy relationships, and maybe some of us have experienced trauma and issues in our lives that make relationships difficult, because relationships are literally a mirror to our biggest problems, to the biggest issues that we have to resolve within ourselves, and the biggest things that we need to heal within ourselves. They are going to bring those things out of us. So it just makes so much sense why it would be such a tricky area, but such a crucial area at the same time. So this topic is relevant to that, and it has to do with being at the maybe early stages of dating a person. And this is kind of almost like dating survival 101. Although the word survival makes it sound as though we're running away from a saber-toothed tiger, but you know what I mean. So the most important thing that you need to take into account when dating an individual at the start of the dating period, the dating phase, like say you've been going out on dates for a couple weeks or a month or whatever, is to pay attention to the fantasy that you're creating in your head about that person, and immediately remove the fantasy from the individual as much as you can actually do that. It's not easy, okay? It's not easy at all, and sometimes you are going to really get into a specific person, especially because that fantasy has gotten so strong. But you can weaken that fantasy by taking more time to be with that person, to observe that person after that initial, excitement potentially has started to fade a little bit. You want to consider, what is it that's coming up for me? What are the things that I'm thinking about with regards to this person that are making me feel like, wow, I'm really into this person. I can feel something here. What are those things, right? You want to think about what those are and consider that they might not really be representative of the individual. And they might just be figments of your imagination. So you might actually recognize a bit later that the person doesn't really align with that fantasy that you've created in your head at all. So you just want to be mindful. At the same time, it can also feel a little bit good, right? It can feel good when you are in that fantasy, especially if you have limerence, which is what that video was about. And I have a very strong history of limerence. So it's difficult to do, but it's going to save you from so much trouble and potentially heartache. So that's it. Remember to dissociate, remove the fantasy, okay? Take the fantasy out of the person and let time tell you what you actually see objectively, okay? Only time can really tell you that. Time and different situations that you might encounter in that during that dating phase, that initial dating phase. Okay, so that is a very quick message for today. Just pay attention to that and don't be afraid to completely cut a person off if you realize that you've just liked a fantasy of them and they are not living up to it. They're not going to live up to it, but that they're not even like close. It's really just a figment of your imagination. And usually the more trauma you've experienced in your life, the more likely you're going to perceive this person and this fantasy that you've created around their person to be kind of your ticket to escaping from the trauma and any memories that you have around the trauma and any experiences and any feelings that you need to actually process. So remember, relationships are a mirror. So your fantasy isn't the person. Okay? Sounds obvious sometimes, but most people, we don't get it because we enjoy the fantasy. Fantasies always feel better than reality, but reality in the end gets to feel so much better when you start really tapping into it, and when you start seeing things for what they are and you start actually appreciating those things for what they are. It feels and it gets better, trust me. So that's it. If you like this video and you're new, please subscribe to the channel to see more similar content potentially, and hope you like the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.